Welcome to My Crazy, My Rules. We believe that every story deserves a voice, and my job is to give your story, your letter, a voice. Today's letter comes to us from a paramedic that has over 22 years of service, and her letter begins. Ben, first, I want to say how thankful I am for this podcast. What you are doing matters. I know you're reaching for your first 100 subscribers, but if I have my way, it will be 100,000. People need this. We need this. I joined the fire department in early 2000. Before that, I tried different jobs and even spent some time in college, but nothing felt right. I kept feeling this pull to something bigger, something that would help me help people. I looked at both police and fire, and in the end, firefighting spoke to me. About 2 years later, I earned my paramedic license. I spent many years on the MICU, and now I serve as a lieutenant on a paramedic engine. I'm writing because I want other firefighters, paramedics, EMT, and police officers to know they are not alone. This job changes us in ways most people can't imagine. I live with trauma every single day. Being a wife and a mother on top of being a firefighter is a balancing act that never really balances. My family doesn't get the same kind of mother other families have. Every time I walk out the door, they worry that I may not return. My husband used to keep a scanner in the house, but it was too painful to hear what was happening, so he got rid of it. My shifts are 24 hours long and sometimes 48 when I take overtime. The entire time, I am on edge. No matter what I'm doing, working out, cooking dinner, even trying to sleep, I'm always bracing for the tones to go off. There's no true rest, no deep sleep. And the worst part is, I've carried that hyper alertness home with me. I'm constantly scanning for danger. At the pool, I don't see children splashing, having fun. I see drownings. When my husband drives with the kids, I imagine car crashes. I've become someone who feels like she has to be in control of everything all the time. There are things I love, though. I love doing fire prevention and talking to little kids in elementary schools. But it breaks my heart to see what's happening with teenagers, risking their lives for TikTok videos or worse, the growing number of teen suicides. And I hate how movies glorify it. Suicide isn't cinematic. It's a scream that never ends. Parents screaming, siblings sobbing, neighbors standing in shock. I've been there, working on a child I know is already gone, but I keep going because the family is begging me to save them. By the time we load the child into the ambulance, the grief has spread like wildfire. More family, more friends, more neighbors, all screaming. Nothing will ever be the same for them. Families break under that kind of pain. I want to scream at people on their phones while driving. I've seen too many innocent lives destroyed because someone couldn't look up from a screen or because they thought they were okay to drive drunk. And while all life is devastating, the ones that crush me most are the children and the dogs. Adults make choices, but children and animals, they're innocent. Those are the calls that break me every single time. And there's one more thing I need people to know. Whenever someone finds out what I do for a living, the very first question they always ask is, "What's your worst call?" Please never ask a first responder that question. When you do, you are asking us to relive the single moment that scarred us the most, the call that took the heaviest toll on us, and trust me, you do not want to know the answer. You may think you do because television and movies have glorified what we do, but those stories are fiction. The reality is brutal, heartbreaking, and unforgettable. So, if you truly want to thank a first responder, Don't ask us to reopen that wound. Just understand that we carry those moments silently every single day. So, to my brothers and sisters in fire, EMS, and law enforcement, you are not alone. I know what it's like to jump at the doorbell. Certain bad news is waiting on the other side. I know what it is like to back out of a driveway painfully slow because you fear a child could be behind you. I know what it's like to live on edge, carrying trauma home from every shift. We see the things the world cannot begin to understand, but we see each other. And I want you to know I see you. Sincerely, a fellow firefighter, paramedic. To the firefighter paramedic who wrote this letter, I thank you tremendously for your service. And yes, we do see you. And it reminds me of a story with my own son. He lived on a street that had a major incident just a couple houses down from himself. The people inside had barricaded themselves, and police and SWAT had come to the scene. And he saw what was going on, and then he heard the shots, and a police officer fell down in the driveway. He had been shot. My son grabbed his kit, knowing that he was the first one there and he could possibly help. But as he tried to get out and get around, there was more shots, and the police officers there told him, do not try to go out there. You're going to get shot. So he hid behind his fence, and he waited, and he waited. And it was a while before they were able to neutralize the person inside the house. And then they took the SWAT vehicle to pick up the police officer. So he ended up not having to do anything. But a few days later, there was a letter on his porch, and it was titled, I See You. And one of his neighbors wanted him to know that they saw what he tried to do. They saw him out there willing to risk his own life to help a fellow first responder. And that's how they said it to him. They said, thank you. We saw what you were doing, and we just feel it was something that we needed to sincerely thank you for. That is what being a first responder is all about. It's not about the thank yous that happen. It's not about waiting for someone to come up and pat you on the back and say, you did a really good job. Because when we go out of the firehouse, when we go out on the medic unit, when a police officer responds to a very serious call, we're not doing it, and they're not doing it for the thanks. They're doing it because in their heart, they feel that that is something they need to do. It is literally a thankless job. And what this paramedic says when she talks about, do not ask us about what our worst call is. We think about that call almost every day. It is the one that haunts us in our dreams. It is the one that when we get a similar call, we're dreading that the same thing is going to happen. So we don't need to relive that by you asking it. Rather than asking, what's your worst call? Or, hey, how bad was it? Or was that a good fire? There's no such thing as a good fire. People lose their property, they lose their houses, they lose their lives. Rather than ask those questions, just go up and simply say, thank you. I appreciate you, because that means more to a first responder than any question you could ever ask. So to the first responders out there that are watching this today, to the firefighters, the paramedics, the police officers, the nurses, the doctors, the frontline people as well, and to all my friends, and you know who you are, that I spent time with at the firehouse and on the medic units, I sincerely say thank you for everything you are doing, and it is greatly appreciated. To the paramedic, I say again, thank you. And now to everyone that is watching this episode today, we're now video. I got a lot of such amazing response from last week's video. I ask you to start sending your letters in. You can send them to letters at mycrazymyrules.com, because what we want to start doing now, especially being on video, we want to take a letter like this, and next week, I want to hear your responses to that letter. I want to hear how you took that letter and what your experiences were similar to this paramedics. What do you have to share with the others that you want people out there to know? Or do you have a story that's bothering you? Do you have a story that you've been keeping bundled up? And this is not for just for the first responders. This is not just for the military. This is for everyone. Every day we have things that can bother us. You may see an accident that is almost or just as devastating as for the first responders who are working on it. When you're driving down the road and you see a sheet covering a person on the side of the road, it affects you. When you get home and your child is sick or your child is wounded or trauma, it affects you. What we want to do at this place, at this podcast, is take those stories and share them. Like I said at the beginning, we want to take your story and give it a voice, because that voice may help somebody else. The paramedic talked about going to suicides. There is nothing more devastating than being involved with the suicide. And when I say involved, I don't mean just that we were a first responder who got there and had to help the person. I also mean the family members, the friends. It can be devastating to receive a phone call in the middle of the night and not get to it on time, and then find out the next day that the person that was calling you is gone. That is probably the most horrible feeling. But by sharing some of our feelings, we can help other people that have been in the same situation. And that's what I'm asking you. So, two things now: get a response to this wonderful paramedic who shared something so deep within herself. And I also want to have you share your stories. So, we're going to get back to the gigantic thank you that I always do to the studio where we are working right now. It is amazing. Run Tell Media, I can't thank you enough for sponsoring me. The studio is amazing. To all the people that listen to my episodes, thank you very much. We are working to get to that first 100. And after last week's episode, we're getting very, very close. And also, anyone that is having a problem out there right now, where you're overwhelmed, where it's not something you can send in to me. I'm not a licensed practitioner. I am not a psychiatrist. I am not a psychologist. I am just someone that wants to give your story a voice. But if you need something more than that, don't hesitate to call someone. You can call the suicide hotline at 988. If you're military, you can go ahead and hit 1 as soon as they pick up to get the military side. You can text them. You can email them at 988.org, 988.org. I'm sorry about that. And you can speak with them. So don't hesitate to do that. So this is My Crazy, My Rules. Until next time, what's yours?